grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. And good evening to everybody. How is everyone? Yeah, I know it's Thursday. One more day to Friday, right? I agree. I concur. I know what it's like. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour or so. I am also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team. Let me get this in position. I was messing around with the mic for photos the other day. I was doing PR photos, and I was playing with the mic, and now the mic's like not where I like it. There we go. My name is Charlotte. I'm the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team. You can find us at www.californiahaunts.org. Or if you're really into the radio show, like I am, you can find us at californiahauntsradio.com. So there's two places to find us. Most of our updates are at the .com address because we're changing website owner, web design places for the website. So we're kind of in limbo. Anyway, I own California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, and we are 35 strong up and down the state of California. We also have affiliates in Washington, Nevada, and Hawaii. Someday I'm going to get to Hawaii. I tell you, I'm going to go ghost hunting. I'm going to hook up with my homies in Hawaii. Okay. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. We've got a great guest, Crystal Pomeroy. We're going to be talking about, I hope I said her name right. I'm horrible with names. We're going to be talking about angels and angelic realms. She's written a great book about that. And I'm fascinated with angels. I said, I'm going to ask her about sky angels, when we see them up in the sky like that, because I've gotten several photos like that over the last couple of years since my mom's passed. So I want to ask her about that. The thing I want to remind everybody of is if you're watching from YouTube tonight, there's a little guy down in the corner down that you can see that it's a little ghost that has a Sherlock Holmes hat on and a big magnifying glass. That's my Ghost Investigator logo. Click on that. You can subscribe to these videos. There's more than 200 videos sitting over there, and lots of choices from Sasquatch all the way into domestic violence. We just cover it all here at California Haunts Radio. So if you're interested in subscribing, go ahead and do that. That'd be great because we're always looking for more subscribers. Also, I want to do a quick plea too. My PBS plea is that we are not a nonprofit organization, so we'll come out to your house and look for ghosties for you, see what's going on in your house, but we don't charge for it. So everything you see here, my hat, no, I'm kidding, the headphones, the computer itself, the lighting and mic and all that comes out of my pocket. So if something breaks, boom, I gotta make the cost on it. So if you could help me out a little bit, that would be great. I want to keep good guests coming, and I gotta stay on the air, right? Pay for the internet and all that stuff. So you can do that at paypal.me at California Haunts. Or if you're uncomfortable with PayPal, you can do that at Venmo and just type in California Haunts. Anyway, topic tonight. I'm really interested in angels. Always have been. I was laughing about my guardian angels the other day. I always think my guardian angels are alcoholics because they have to deal with me. Boy, I'll tell you. They got their work come out. I always think, they struggle with me all day and then they go back to the realm and kick back, have a couple beers, and just go, gosh, I don't know why I got stuck with this assignment. But anyway, I'm going to bring Crystal on before I make any more fool out of myself than I already have. Okay? All right. Hello.
Hi there, Charlotte.
How are you?
Really excited to be with you on your show. That it's a big going concern, and you must have lots of contacts with entities of all different kinds.
I do. I see a lot. I've seen a lot too. I've been touched. I've been pushed. I've been, you name it.
Wow. How'd you get into that?
Pardon?
How'd you get into that?
My house, I realized I was sensitive as a kid. I always saw stuff in my house. So I still live in the same house.
Wow.
So I'm here alone now because my mom is gone now. So yeah, so I have an agreement with the ones that are here. Most of them are relatives, so the agreement is, I know you're here. I know you're here. Don't scare me.
Uh-huh.
That's why when I go ghost hunting, I could always tell when something comes home with me because it doesn't act like the ones that are here.
Wow. Okay, so are you are medium too, it sounds like?
I'm not a practicing medium, but yeah.
Fascinating.
I try not to. you know, I hear. Sometimes I'll see things. Sometimes I'll hear the voices come to me. In my head,
Uh-huh.
and I can hear what they're saying, or I can tell if it's a male or female just by the spider webs and how heavy the spider webs are.
Wow. Okay.
But other than that, I have mediums on my team, so I kind of let them take care of that. But I do have abilities.
Great. Fascinating.
So tell me about you.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about my new book,
Okay.
Angels and Goddesses. It was really kind of a miracle how it came together. I've been working as a healer and a spiritual growth facilitator and astrologer and a speaker for some time, mainly in Mexico. And I've had a whole lot of wonderful experiences. I just, for instance, right now finished a group session that I call them unblocking sessions. My sister says I could call them unlocking sessions, which probably sounds better. But it's and healing, which is basically opening up channels so that infinite good, the force of infinite good, can come in and touch situations, touch our bodies, touch our minds, touch our energy, and put us back into resonance with the one true code, which is a code of love. I mean, how should I say? I'm really simplifying it, but it's a reconnection with the all-powerful love. And what this does is it heals people. And so there are all kinds of experiences that people have of even groups, large groups, sometimes hundreds of people, where in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, everybody will either have that had any pain, it will go completely away or 80% away. And with all kinds of manifestations of healing from many kinds of diseases, anxiety, lupus, epilepsy, all kinds of stuff. Because there's basically nothing impossible for the force of infinite good. And this has been, for me, it's developed over time. What does this have to do with angels? Is that when we lift our minds up, because what I can do, anybody can do it. In fact, I train people to do this. And this is an ad for myself. This is a truth that I hope will make whoever's listening believe in themselves, in their power, in their light, in their words. Because these days we read a lot, and sometimes we experience the power of our words to open and close portals, including, since we're talking about entities right now with your really fascinating program. I always think it's fascinating when somebody can do something so unusual, so spiritual, and actually have it be a going concern in the world, because I know from experience that it's not that easy to kind of make that fusion and like build up a structure. Like you said, you have this large team and you've got mediums on the team and everything. I think that's really amazing. And so anyway, we all have this power within us, and it's really easy to doubt sometimes. And because we've got different trains of thought, and we've also got different entities that are always sending us information of one kind or another. And I really like this author. I was rereading his book, which is something about true world history, I think it's called. And his name is Stuart Swerdlow, and he worked in dark government circles, and so he's privy to information that's not usually let out to the public. And he talks about how human beings are a genetic creation, not directly from the divine, but a creation that includes about 30% reptilian genetics. And so what modern medicine and science tell us about the brain is that we have certain attitudes and areas of our brain that are very similar to reptilian attitudes and reptilian brain areas. And so some people call this the reptile brain, but it's also called the primitive brain. And so these behaviors include some things that are positive in the physical world, like the survival instinct and being able to respond when we feel threatened with an aggressive gesture and so forth. But they tend a lot of times to kind of drag us along, these behaviors and these attitudes, and they're very repetitive. And along with those tendencies, we also get entities. I mean, I'm sure you know this, Charlotte, with all of your extensive work in with entities that will come in that are in that kind of wavelength, in the wavelength of territoriality, in the wavelength of anger that make us get stuck there, in the wavelength of depression or of feeling possessive or these other kind of not so high vibrational tendencies. And then we have these other areas that most of us are working on, a lot of us these days are working on developing in one or another, through self-healing, through shadow work, through positive prayer, through meditation, through contacts with the subtle realms, etc. And these areas that get the energies that we awaken when we do this are on higher wavelengths, and they connect us naturally tend to connect us with a community of light beings. So for instance, in my healing work, which I've been doing for quite a long time, I don't wish anybody to take that long as it has taken me for these gifts to awaken. And one of the things I do with the people that I have taught is, and I'm saying this as encouragement for anybody who's like doing it themselves, working on themselves to develop healing gifts or intuitive gifts or whatever. You don't have to take a long time. I mean, you've got the gifts there, and believing in them is part of the energy that makes you precipitate them more quickly, because the energy of doubt will tend to hold us back. And so as I develop more and more this activity, I oftentimes will get I'll see, like you just said about, you'll hear the voices in your head or whatever. I'll see these spaces of light that open up, and certain symbols will come in, or certain information will come in for the treatment. So it's using one's rational mind to transmute the appearance and say that doesn't have any power. And there's a million ways to say that, but that's like the basic idea. And then listening to intuitive guidance to make this something like specific. But the intuitive guidance opens us up to the light realms, which are always working with us and always supporting us in when we are manifesting our higher selves, our higher beings. We're getting this direct support from these realms. And it's also important to believe in that and to have faith in that. And I'm sorry if you're babbling on, but
I had a question. The whole reptilian thing. Did he explain where that comes from?
There are different groups that have been involved with forming the human species, and some of them are reptilian. Some of the groups are reptilian, and so they're from different planets.
Okay, I was going to say. Okay, are these aliens that have? Yeah, because I know they found in the Mideast they've actually found reptilian bodies that look human.
That's amazing.
I talked to somebody a couple months ago about that.
So that's fascinating.
When you said that, I just went boing, because
So they're like fossils of reptilian bodies or something.
Yeah. Supposedly, of course.
I believe it. There's so much hidden information and hidden knowledge, and if it doesn't go with like whatever the mainstream academia is pushing out and what the important guys in the prestigious colleges are saying is, you know, their perception and their version, it often gets just hidden or shoveled away. And also, there's a lot of control of this kind of information.
Right.
I mean, the whole idea of being empowered or questioning our origins or thinking about a larger sphere of activity that's influencing Earth activity. These are all topics that are like sealed off from
Right.
commonly accepted knowledge.
Well, yeah, and it makes more sense. I mean, like when you think about the big picture, Mount Shasta, supposedly there's a reptilian colony living within the mountain. That's one of the rumors that are out there. But it makes a lot of sense because I mean, we just didn't evolve. I don't get what I understand the whole mainstream thing about the cell turning into the dinosaur turning into this, but I just don't see us evolving from that. We had to evolve from something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree. Uh-huh. Definitely. But a lot of people behave in very reptilian fashions,
Yeah, they do.
and and we can, all of us, I mean, I think can get like sometimes feel like possessed by impulses that don't necessarily go with our mindset, our essence, or what we want to be. And so it does make sense that there's a mix in there. We walk around looking human, but
Right.
really there's this other hidden force in there. And some children are born with more pronounced elements from the reptilian phase of the fetus, and it's the beginning of its development looks just like a reptile. And when as the fetus develops over the months, then those characteristics fade, but there are still like babies that are born that have like a tail,
Right. I was just thinking of
like,
that.
and some other features that are not, or like webbed
Ripped toes. Yeah.
fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And because prevailed, but we've all got this as part of our genetic makeup,
Right.
and it's a doorway to a certain type of entities
Right.
also.
Right. 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 Yeah. It's interesting. It's just too bad we can't like grow another arm when when the arm gets broken off or something. Um, I just find all that fascinating.
It
And
is.
it's absolutely fascinating to think about. And I know there's a big study with people that are with MUFON that have actually studied that. Linda Moulton
Uh-huh.
Howe and I had a discussion about that one a couple years ago. About the reptilian and how sometimes there are these reptilians that actually look like humans, but it's kind of like in V. Remember the TV show V? But they
No,
peel
I
their,
don't.
if
Sorry.
they peel their skin back, there's reptile under there. But that's what she was telling me.
Yeah, I believe
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's wild, but I mean, it sounds really weird if you've never thought of this that way, but I believe it's true too.
absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So when you talk about the angelic reminder, I've done meditation, for healing meditations.
Uh-huh.
How does that work into? Because I know you can go. Okay, I teach basic psychic development.
Uh-huh.
So
Neat.
when I teach it, I teach people to go out of their bodies. They go to the sacred library. They're looking at the book. They're looking at this. They're looking at that, and they're also able to
Nice.
meet their guardian angel. When they're out there. Now, is this what happens? I mean, when you go into meditation, is this how you meet your angels, or do you're thinking about this to where you want to heal and stuff, and so you ask them to come talk to you about it or something? How's that work?
Okay, well, with the healing, actually, the way all this stuff has come up for me, and I think a lot of people that are like in psychic and healing arts these days, it was sort of like this had already been planned or agreed or something. Now I was slow to waking up to it. I mean, really slow. I mean, like I went to college early. I was in college early, out of high school and in college, but I thought I wanted to be a civil rights lawyer, and I was really convinced about this, and I was intensely into it, and working hard to keep my grades up so I could go for a doctorate in jurisprudence. And um, there were several things like happened in my life that eventually, like in my mid 20s, made me realize that what really moved me or fulfilled me was the spiritual activities and studies that my mom had opened as a doorway, like just for interest as a pastime, since I was a child. And she was really an incredible woman. I mean, life had put this beautiful, brilliant teacher on my pathway, and who I loved dearly, and who would take me to study when I was still a child with Joseph Campbell, with Dorothy McClean, and I liked all that stuff, but I didn't realize that this was like would end up being a calling for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started getting into it as such, and I did it at first with, and I really think, like academically, I was not a slow learner, but in this spiritual aspect, I was a very slow learner, because I did a whole lot of affirmative prayer and writing letters to angels, and really intensely, and with a lot of anxiety, because I didn't really know I was accompanied. I didn't really believe in that presence that was with me. And so it was like over time, and using these types of spiritual weapons, so to speak. I know that's a weird word, but it flows right now. To help other people, and sharing them with other people, my powers of manifestation and healing and connection with light beings just started like unfolding and precipitating. And so at the same time, I have learned to call on them and work with them. But in terms of the healing, it's more like they come in when I set out to give a treatment, or to I mean, they're all, this very well, I mean, you teach this stuff. The beings are right there all the time around us. And so even if we just calm our minds, and we have an intention to connect with the divine, or to connect consciously with our breath, if we pay attention, we'll be able to perceive the information and vibrations, and oftentimes images that come from a higher realm. So getting back to the guardian angel, which is a wonderful teaching, a beautiful teaching about how some people have more that is devoted entirely to help us, to support us, particularly in our spiritual development. Then this is a protective companion that we can call on, like what occurs to me, since you do this teaching of mediumship and stuff, or psychic development. Then call on the guardian angel and feel the presence of the guardian angel around one. Feel the wings, feel it merging with one's own body. This sort of thing, not just the invocation, but actually sensing, putting our physical senses into the connection with light beings, feeling them touching us, feeling like the wings blending with our own aura and with our own energy. This is actually, it sounds simple, but it's spiritual technology that was used in a lot of ancient traditions, and that in the West today, even though we have all this wonderful information, we don't, it's more like, usually if you read about angels and stuff, it's like calling on the angels and maybe visualizing them and stuff. But if you actually feel them touching you and feel them fusing with you, perhaps in the case of like with Archangel Michael, whose specialty is about, I have a chapter on him in the book, and his companion goddesses, because they work in groups. I mean, of course, they didn't have to be called angels in ancient China to be the same kind of light beings. And so there are like light beings who have a specialty in protection and in overcoming low vibrational manifestations and entities. And they're also, that particular group is also specialized in turning on our light body, which is a really important precipitator of our true being, all of our higher powers. And it also automatically expels low vibrational entities, because they can't subsist when we've got, in the space when we've got the light body turned on. And all of the ancient traditions had some kind of teaching about the light body, called the Christ body, and which some say was actually the body that was registered on the Holy Shroud of Turin, where
Right.
we've got the printing of the body at the moment he made his transition. And it's that explosion, that release of radiation is printed onto the shroud. And this same phenomenon, the diamantine body, the rainbow body, I mean, different nations, different traditions have different names for it, but we've all got this. And like, if it can be turned on, if one does, like, I'm just going to give a little tip here, if that's okay, if you don't mind me going directly into this, which is actually something extremely powerful that can that I think can have something to do with, like, breaking free from a lot of the matrix of the false codes that we live in, that seem to hold us bound in the world of illusion, which I mean, including illness, sorrow, feeling separate from others, separate from the divine, death itself. All of this is part of the world of illusion. And turning on the light body is a very intense way of precipitating the energy of ourself that it prevails over the world of illusion. And to fuse, like to say, to ask Archangel Michael to come and visualize either him as an angel, if you have a problem visualizing an angel specifically with wings and stuff, don't worry, just imagine a field of blue light, and ask him to be there, ask him to present himself, and then ask him to fuse with you, and say to yourself, this is like a key that will make this a very powerful experience, which is to say, my body is not solid. My body is a field of light particles. And the presence of Archangel Michael easily fuses with my body. And then feeling this blue force field, I mean, if you want to try this, obviously, blending, going into one's own body, and feeling this blue luminosity, knowing it's Archangel Michael, and you can affirm that also. This will automatically, like, lift your vibration in a very significant manner, and it's a protective action that creates a psychic and energy shield. And so that's just an example of how, with Western practices like invocation and visualization, if we go a step further and actually feel like we blend with these energies and turn it into something that we can be experiencing in our awareness as a physical manifestation, but it's actually physical blending with these other realms, it really lifts up the intensity of the connection, and makes it much easier to open to what's coming through from the higher realms.
Interesting. When you talk about that blue light, is that similar? I mean, when I was trained to calm myself down, they told me to use the color of the rainbow and start up at the red and bring myself down to the blue light, which was calming, and then finally that white light at the bottom, which was just right down on the floor. Because I remember I had back injections done and epidurals done, and I was sitting up, and the guy said, "Do you want anything to take for it?" And I said, "No, I'm good." And that's what I did. I brought myself down to that blue light that you're talking about. I didn't feel a thing when they did it. Is that what that is? It's that bringing yourself down from that higher level, and then you hit that blue, you hit that plateau on the blue light.
That's what you're saying is like a different application.
Okay.
But it's it definitely in resonance with the importance of color, because it will find this also in all of the different ancestral traditions. There's more than one period in ancestral traditions. So like when we go to ancient Mexico, when the Aztecs were here, they were doing human sacrifice. I mean, this was not this race that was vibrating in wonderful harmonious energy, but there were previous races in different parts of the world before the whole institutionalized power with certain little groups on top and that sort of social structure took over. There was another period that's sometimes called the golden period of humanity, when it was really normal for people to connect with light beings. And from all these different traditions, we get the use of color. Like it was important in all of the traditions because, again, we're talking about something that's intentional. The reptilian tendency, and I don't mean to drag on. I don't always talk so much about the reptilian thing, but it's that's been coming up in conversations over the last couple of days, and I find it really intriguing. This the genetic element, and so this part of our biology makes us like just repeat the same thing over and over. It's like staying in our comfort zone. And so when we do something like what you said, this exercise in which you intentionally connect your mind with these different wavelengths of colors that are the color, for a color to come through with clarity, it's a clear manifestation of energy that has not been muddied by lower vibrations and influences of the world. And so when you're doing that, you're activating circuits, you're activating light circuits in yourself. And that, I think personally, made you connected with your own higher self that couldn't have been hurt, that couldn't have actually been received damage from whatever they were doing to you. I mean, the use of color is wonderful and it's really important. Visualizing with color, connecting with the colors in nature, cultivating any way of connecting, especially with bright or lovely colors. One of the manifestations of the light body, like I said, is actually called the rainbow body. And there is evidence today that of people that have in recent history manifested the light body, the rainbow body, where like somebody who's been meditating all their lives out in the middle of the mountains, they don't go on social media, they don't have any contact with the world of appearances. And so I'm not a candidate for this particular development, but they come to a point where when they pass on, they don't actually die, but the body disappears, and around the place where they passed on, rainbows appear. And or the body actually becomes incorrupt, it shrinks and it becomes like a little doll, but it doesn't rot. And and there are these rainbows that appear around, and that all the people around can see the rainbows as a physical phenomenon. And I think it's really, really fascinating.
Really and wow.
Yeah. And this is, we all have these energies within us. I mean, we've all got this spectrum of different kinds of light powers. And when we connect with colors, and when we visualize different deities in bright colors and work with them, like ask Green Tara, for example, who's a goddess from the Middle East of healing, whose heart is considered to be a lotus, or Archangel Raphael, who's another green manifestation. We ask them to like put their healing heart in us, and we imagine this green heart being put into our chest. Then we're actually activating a different kind of circuit that's there latently, and can manifest and will precipitate. I mean, I'm even feeling energy in the palm of my hands just by saying this, and it will precipitate the currents of our healing. So when we connect with this, with our intentionality, with our affirmations, with positive negations, which are like negating the limitations of the material realm, then we become much more stronger and more effective vehicles for divine energies to be transmitted through us.
Interesting. And I was going to ask you about the blue color because I mean, I don't know, is it because of popular stuff like TV and whatnot? Because when people say, people think of angels, they think of the bright light, or they think of a nice golden light with the angel coming out. Why would there be?
Uh-huh.
I'm not questioning you. I'm just asking, about, as opposed to what people think, and then, like you said, a blue color.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, it is an interesting question. I mean, I wonder why you would think that people would be more attracted to gold. That's part of the alchemy. It's the symbol of alchemy, and it's another term for the light body, the golden body. I mean, in some traditions, it's called that. But the blue is actually an archetype of protection
Okay.
that is also connected to like a blue sky that is bright blue
Okay.
and not cloudy. It is a manifestation in the physical realm of something that we could compare with the infinite. And
Okay.
so this blue vibrant sky, which I was really fascinated to learn that in ancient tantra traditions, they would say when you're beginning with this practice and you need to clear your energy and clear your mind, visualize that you're opening up to a blue sky, and then from that moving into purple, and the purple is transmutation. And so this image of the celestial energy of blue, it seems to somehow connect us with the infinite in a way that picks us up out of the realm where there are all these different kinds of energies, and some of them aren't very desirable. And it's a universal archetype of protection. Silver is specifically for psychic protection.
Okay. Okay. See, I'm learning stuff today. You're
That's
teaching
great.
me things. That's great. That's what this is
I'm
all about.
really glad. I'm
I
really,
have
really glad.
I have a
And you're so intuitive. You'll do a lot with this, I'm sure, because we're talking about archetypical manifestations of symbols and energies that are floating around in the collective unconscious. And once we start connecting with them, those of us who are have our intuition developed or are doing that, like for instance, a little while ago in this group healing I did, I told the group, what is coming through now is probably going to sound kind of weird to you, but I'm just going to put it across as it's coming. This rain of tiny blue swords of love that are cutting through negative vibrational fields around you. I felt that this was like some kind of protection that a lot of people in the group might need, and cutting away codes of limitation. And also this rain of tiny blue swords is falling over Ukraine and all of the areas of conflict that where there's dense energy. This is also spreading out all over these areas. So one can, I mean, I'm sure you're going to get stuff like this too, like these images that are sent from the light realms, and that, like, you'll see these tiny little swords or whatever it is. The other day I was treating a woman who had an appearance of cancer. Unfortunately, it's receding, but she was feeling kind of stuck on when she visited me a couple of days ago. And I saw this large, when I do a little bit of work with my eyes closed and, believe it or not, with my mouth shut at the beginning, and the treatments. And so she had this, I saw this like big snake wrapped around her legs and her lower body. Yeah, it was kind of gross.
That can't
And
be good. Yikes.
it was sort of a nice, real living steak from the Amazons or something. It was like this kind of gooey, gelatinous thing. And I got the feeling that this is what was making her feel stuck, because it was literally like making her feel. And she had also told me that with her inner work, she wasn't feeling like she or and things she wanted to do in her life, she just kind of couldn't move ahead. And so I was thinking, well, when I'm done with the silent part, when I'm into the verbal part, where I use words to undo appearances, undo illness, like how else can I describe this? There are these healers from an ancient tradition. They're still running around up there in the Himalayas, mainly women who are called Savari healers that worship the goddess Parna Savari. And they connect with wood spirits, but they have numerous abilities that allow them to heal. And one of the things that they have to be able to do is to see the essential insubstantiality of illness. I mean, that it doesn't really exist. I mean, I didn't use that particular word, but I learned that about them. And it's very much like what I do with words, which is like erasing the appearance by denying its reality. And so I was planning on doing this, but somehow, just sort of intuitively, I thought I'm going to stick a dagger into it and see what happens. And so I was doing this mentally. Immediately, I could see how the thing sort of like recoiled and became weakened, and it really affected it. And so I was talking about this with some of my friends yesterday, and what came through to me is that the archetype, like the archetypes of Archangel Michael's sword and of other light beings that have swords that are like Michael's colleagues, like the ancient Tibetan goddess Simhamukha, and there are many deities with swords that are deities of protection. And so the swords are instruments that they use to overcome lower mind states and overcome dense energies and so forth. And so I realized that on some level, the dagger, the sword, it's not just a symbol. It's actually spiritual technology that these lower vibrational forces cannot resist when we apply it. And so I find all of this really fascinating. And I'm sure that as people become more familiar with the archetypes, and in my book, I have 7 chapters, each devoted to a different archangel with different ways of connecting with their implements, with their symbols, with your own mind powers, because that's really important in connecting with angels, is to be aware that we have our own powers, and it's not just like, saying to the angels, oh, come in and fix this. It's I'm a divine being. I'm a channel of divine power, and the angels help with things that I can't handle on my own, or to make the process of precipitating divine victory quicker and faster. But people like you, Charlotte, and all other kinds of intuitive people, when we start meditating on these archetypes, or thinking about them, I'm sure are going to also be getting inspiration like this, intuitive ways of applying the tools.
When people
Because
start this,
information
let me
directly
ask
from
you
the
this:
light.
when people start this, do they get better at it as they practice it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially if we're combining it with working on ourselves. There are some, I try to be respectful of different traditions. I'm sometimes, I have a Scorpio rising, so sometimes I'm kind of sarcastic, but when, for instance, when people say, okay, you've got some problem with witchcraft they've done or whatever, and so you have the remedy is to light this candle, and that's going to make it go away, and repeat this little invocation. It's for me, it just doesn't compare with the kind of charge that I get from like working on my own beliefs, my own mental patterns, and combining that with connecting with the light realms. Like I opened this group to pray for world peace a few days ago, and I have in my book, I share a very, very powerful way of increasing one's prayer power, which is through letter writing to angels and deities, combining that with one's affirmations and intentions. And so I given this class, which is called Angelic Intelligence. It's like the subtitle of the book, which is actually the title I wanted for the book. But my wonderful publisher, I mean, Llewellyn, is really, really professional. I'm very honored that they've done this book. They're the ones that decided to call it Angels and Goddesses. And so the subtitle is Manifest, something like Manifest Your Desires with Angelic Intelligence. And so as I was reminding the group, because we'd already seen this in the class, the ones that wanted to come into this prayer group, that we were going to do a really intensive technique that's extremely effective when there are situations that seem like you just need a breakthrough, and the situation seems almost impossible. You need a miracle. And this particular technique was adapting that to situations in which there are people that seem to be resistant to doing good. Like in this case, whoever's behind the wars. I mean, I'm sorry for saying that so openly if it offends anybody, but the war is really awful, and for many reasons. And so I was guided for us to do these letters to Michael. And as I suggest in the book, because I give several different kinds of examples in different situations and intentions, in this case, to work with the guardian angel of all of those that could influence directly or indirectly what's going on, like summarizing it, shortening up. Then after making a request to the angel, like in this case, so they will release any harmful intentions or actions, and become active for finding harmonious solutions. And then you add your own affirmations into the letter, like saying, I send my words of faith for your perfect work, for example, and then colon, and then you write your affirmations in the letter. And do this in depending on how many, what the situation, how intense the situation is, what you're wanting to achieve. It can be done 6 times, 9 times, these are goddess numbers, or 15 times, or 21 times. And so, and I said to the group, you can post your letters on the group as you do them. And so this one woman posted a letter that was just the request part, and then the saying goodbye part. And I said to her, that's really nice, but you're not going to get the same effect. It's not like I'm calling on the angels and I'm cutting myself out of the picture, because we are really decisive agents of divine activity. Our minds are these wonderful windows. We look at the world of appearances sometimes, and we say, like somebody I have a Facebook page, Crystal Pomeroy, author and healer, and I put up something about praying for Ukraine, and some person put up a meme in the flow of comments saying, which God are you praying to? To the God that caused the war, or the God that can't make it go away?
Right.
And so I'm not bothered by the fact they put up that comment. I mean, all of this is interesting because it can lead us to connect with what we really think, and what we really think is extremely powerful. And so I answered the person that my God, quote unquote, is a loving force, and I'm not praying to that God. I'm praying to open my own mental wavelength to allow that divine action to come through, something like that. And so anyway, we're decisive in that picture, where it's not like God made this awful world in which terrible things can happen. It's like, this is a fallen version of the world. The idea of falling, of Adam and Eve being chased out of paradise, is actually like humanity falling into this wavelength that's really a matrix in which we seem to be stuck. And for it to be lifted up into its true condition, and specific conditions also to be lifted up, like a healing to happen, or somebody to become happy, or to love themselves, or to find something they've lost, or to manifest success, or whatever it is that one is working on. It's a matter of opening doors that allow the divine to lift us back up into that true level of manifestation, which is a manifestation that is supported, because actually the true world is a loving world, and everything in the world is actually full of love for us. And when we connect with that truth, then we activate the pole of power that each of us are. And when we work with the angels, it's like, I'm working on my own angelic intelligence, and I'm at the same time inviting, requesting, visualizing, connecting with angels to make this a much more magical, effective, and expansive experience for myself and whoever I'm helping through prayer or whatever kind of metaphysical work I'm doing. And so I think that's a really big difference. I mean, like you mentioned, the guardian angel. I have this wonderful friend and who's an author of many books on the topic of angels in Spanish, Lucy Aspra. And I've translated one of her books. You can find it in English on Amazon. And like she says about the guardian angel, if you are connecting with the guardian angel regularly, then when we pass on from the earth plane, then we have that connection activated. So we can call on it, and it's going to be there for us. Whereas if, okay, I read about it, but and it's a neat idea or whatever, but like so many other self-help books, I just kind of I know about it, but
Right.
it's the practical connection that's going to make this be like a new aspect of my energy and of my experience.
Now, I was thinking about your book, because you say you have different angels in different chapters. Can people, like, call on it, like you say, a particular angel, like say they're having heart trouble, or there's something going on, on in their life that's not so good? Is there, are there particular angels that people can call on to help them?
Oh, sure. Yeah, each angel has a kind of a specialty. Like Yofiel or Hofiel is an angel of success, of creative manifestation for people who want to do something creative, and of our light path. And so we can call on him and his divine companion. Each of the archangels has a feminine complement, and Yofiel's complement is named Constance. And I love these names of their complements, because they show this element. Like Yofiel specializes in a whole series of things, like each of the archangels do, which include everything related to perception, intelligence, one's light path, intuition, academic development, study, concentration, and dream work. I mean, all kinds of things that have to do specifically with perception. And his divine companion is named Constance, and by her very name, that whenever we want to develop our mental or perceptual gifts, constancy is and persistence are important. And that's really neat about the names of the divine complements. And then there's Chamuel, who helps us heal our inner child and self-esteem issues, and break through toxic relationship patterns, and help harmony come into our home. But of course, all of this is again related to how we're radiating love energy. And they'll help us do this in a much more effective manner, because it can be really hard to break out of these limiting circuits of our primitive mental patterns. And in healing of any kind, the divine truth is really important. And Raphael, with his divine complement Mary, whose name like is related to the archetype of the mother, the creative feminine force, among his many specialties, we have divine truth, scientific truth, both physical science and spiritual science, and truth in the sense of telling the truth. I mean, among all of his other specialties. And the thing about divine truth is really essential, because when we're able to release our limiting beliefs and connect with divine truth as a new form of belief, a new window of belief, then whatever the appearances will tend to dissolve. And a lot of people are, I mean, it's so exciting now. My book is not meant to be like some sort of dogma. It's like to contribute to a lot of things that are really neat things that are going on all over the planet right now, which include a lot of people having angel contacts, a lot of people discovering the power within them, and the power of their words and the power of beliefs. And in my case, since I have been working in the matter of beliefs for years, and this has been like central, and I put a lot of flight hours in with and especially all those years when I was so anxious and everything, and have done all kinds of, I mean, I used to get up at 4:30 to pray. And my husband, whom I'm separated from now, but at the time, you know, he said to me, "Don't wake God up so early. God is sleeping at 4:30." He's very he's very funny. But this what ends up happening is that as one works on it and becomes increasingly confident, and it's another thing I invite the listeners to do: be confident in your powers, and call on Archangel Michael to make you firm in your confidence, and to not doubt your powers. This will make just an instantaneous precipitation of more efficacy. But what ends up happening is that when an appearance of illness or pain or whatever somebody's going through crosses my path. I mean, I gave a treatment this afternoon to a woman who was going to have a mammogram done, and she was going to have it done just like 2 hours after the treatment. And so I worked to transmute the belief about whatever could be growing in her breast, and also through the result of the mammogram itself, which is just another window of perception. And she went to have her study done, and it was a really wonderful result. And I'm not, because of the treatment for me, but this happens all the time. I mean, people having amazing healings all the time. And this is how powerful our beliefs are. And Archangel Raphael, who's the archangel of healing and the archangel of truth, will help us. We can ask him to help us connect with the divine truth and lift us out. We can fuse with him in ways that lift us out of the patterns of limiting belief. Because what we neutralize, it's like Bruce Lipton's, the title of Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. And he discovered in his scientific experiments in his youth as a genetic biologist that the information that decides how our genes are played out in our cells actually was on the surface of the cell. So it's being filtered through whatever is coming into the cell from it, because scientists used to think it was from inside the cell, but it's on the surface of the cell. So it's actually like a covering on the cell that is picking up what's going on around it, including the thoughts and beliefs. And this is something Bruce Lipton talks about, and he talks about how our beliefs, and he's doing it from the standpoint of cellular biology, our beliefs are actually more decisive than our DNA in terms of what happens in our bodies. And he talks about Christian groups in the South in an interview they do that you can find on Google of him. He talks about Christian groups that are able to, they have a doctor present, and they have people drinking poison and or being bit by venomous snakes, and that are not affected by it, because what he says is because their belief is so firm, what we call faith, is so firm that it actually literally doesn't affect them. And I'm not suggesting anybody try this, but he says that I certainly wouldn't. But
don't pet the rattlers, kids. Yes,
what?
Don't pet the rattlesnakes, kids. Yes.
No. And so and he says, I don't know how to do this, but it's evident that it's another demonstration of how beliefs are decisive. And what I'm saying to you is that we do know how to do this, because when we work with our thoughts, when we work to transmute them, then we access this ability to cut through the appearances of, like in this case, of toxicity, the appearance of poison, the appearance of illness, or whatever it is, and transmute the actual physical manifestation. And I give specific suggestions of how people can continue to focus and enrich their own inner work, so that they can experience this kind of these not to go out and drink poison, but so that they can have also amazing and quick results in whatever they're working on in terms of manifestation and healing. We've all got these codes. It's part of our very true nature.
Fantastic. This hour blew by. This was absolutely fascinating. And I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, dear Charlotte. I sure appreciate your invitation and all of the work you do. I mean, that is absolutely awesome. And I heard you say you have a team of like 45 people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was a late bloomer like you with this stuff, though. I like I said, I had experiences as a kid, but you get busy with life and you kind of push it down. And then when I got involved with paranormal doing stuff, then all of a sudden, because I was around other psychics, all of a sudden, next thing I know, there's weird things happening to me, and I'm trying to sort it out. So that's what happened. It all came back when like in my early 30s.
Wow. So it was like, I resonate with that a lot, because it sounds like there was like a pattern in your life that somehow maybe one had already chosen, or it was maybe like what we were sent for, some kind of assignment or something. But like in my case, to really kind of assemble those pieces and also to use all the wonderful gifts that were given to me, it kind of took me a while. I'm actually still in the process of working on it and getting it together. I used to say, there's this really great saying in Spanish where when they say somebody's like a starter, they say, they're in diapers still. And I used to say I'm still in diapers until I had an experience at the airport. And I said, no, I'm not going to say I'm in diapers, because I don't want to end up in diapers. But there's definitely a whole lot to develop and a whole lot to learn along these lines. And it's very exciting times that we live in, with all these different fields of perception opening up and experiences. I think your work is really amazing. All the team that you have doing it and stuff, that means you've had a tremendous level of commitment to what you do.
Yep. And that's what we're doing it for, is to help people, help and teach people and stuff. And I had a really good friend who was in the field that's no longer with us, but like you talk about learning, it's forever a learning experience. There's no experts out there. We're all learning. You're learning, I'm learning.
Exactly.
If says they're an expert, they're out of their minds, because there's no experts. But it's fun to learn. It's fun to find the really cool stuff. Just like talking to you, I've learned some stuff from you that I had no clue about, which I think is terrific. So
that's really great. I'm honored. It's an honor for me, for somebody like you, to say that.
That's what
it's really neat. And I'd like to learn more about your your work too, and I'm gonna start following you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anyway, here's my last question for you, and it's kind of an odd question, but I think you can handle it. You're standing on the strip in Las Vegas, and there's other people who have similar books like yours. How do you get people to read your book?
Okay, that's a good. I think that's a really good question. Um, what happened for me was that somehow I got connected with, or I activated, probably, I think it was a genetic resource that was there that I hadn't actually picked up on. When I was in my teens and my early 20s, I could not say an affirmation if I didn't have a book. I had to have somebody else's book in order to get an affirmation. I could make little changes in the affirmation or whatever, but literally, I could not say an affirmation. I couldn't come up with an affirmation on my own. And now, what has happened is I just have this waterfall of affirmations. Honestly, very, very effective affirmations. Not just things like, oh, today I feel good, or I'm grateful for abundance, or whatever. I mean, really effective, exciting, electrical affirmations. And I think inheritance from my paternal grandmother, who I never met in person, but was a polyglot and very studious woman, much more studious than me, developed the verbal areas in such a way that the combination of the connection to the light realms and the verbal facility makes it so there's just this continual outflow of ways of using words that are very powerful activators of connections with the light realms and with our own inner power. And the book is absolutely filled with them.
Cool.
And for women, I know you said one thing, but for women, I can't not say this, that to discover that, which I discovered and I share in the book, and I haven't seen this anywhere else, that the archangels, which are usually considered kind of churchy, actually have their roots in very ancient traditions in which the divine feminine and the divine masculine, but the divine feminine was considered important, and it had an honored role and was recognized, as were women, as healers and teachers, to find out that this is like, to connect with the angels is to also connect with our own feminine circuits, whether we're women or men. It's not a question of biological gender. It's a matter of these energies we have in us. But it's very empowering to discover that, because it's kind of like, the way I feel about it, it's like somebody's behind me, kind of gently urging me forward and saying, yes, yes, yes. You, like in your case, I would like to say this to you, Charlotte, like, and I know you've got guardian angel. There's a strong feminine ancestral presence here too with you, saying, yes, Charlotte, you have these wonderful gifts and you're doing this wonderful work. And this is really important in humanity's rediscovery of our infinite power and our connection with the divine realms. And so when one gets that sensation, instead of feeling like, a lot of times I used to do inner work with this, feeling like I was alone, and I was sort of like, if I had been on being on a baseball field with a blinder on and like trying to hit the ball, hoping I would get it right, but feeling very anxious about it. To open up to that feeling of this light realm that's behind you in developing your and sacred powers that are there, but you don't really have a context, an institutional context to believe in them. That's also something I think that's very special about the book.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you coming on. It was fantastic. We'll have to get you on again sometime.
I'd love it. Thank you very much. We're gonna put up your link on my wonderful publicist, Deborah Ann Jacobs, that I really recommend to anybody who wants to write a book or wants to have a book published or needs like some help getting putting the idea, finishing the idea together, or publicized. She's absolutely wonderful, and she does all kinds of things, and she'll put up the link for you too on my website, so people will see it there.
Fantastic. And where can people find you?
They can find me on my website, crystalpomeroy.com. They can find me through my book, which I really suggest they include in their spiritual library, Angels and Goddesses, and which is on Amazon. And they can find me on Facebook, Crystal Pomeroy, author and healer, and on Instagram, Crystal Clear Always. There, and if we're meant to connect, we will. If we're meant to connect more closely, and I'm certainly there and excited about it.
And you have a YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, right. Crystal Pomeroy also.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. And
so can you tell me again? Can you tell me again about you've got your YouTube presence is also called California Haunts?
Yes. Yes. California Haunts Radio, but it's under California Haunts. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're there.
And you also have a website that's California Haunts?
I have a California Haunts website. It's a .org, and then we have a California Haunts radio site.
Great. So, and this is being transmitted live right now?
This is being transmitted live. We are going out over YouTube. We're going out over Twitter right now. We're going out live on the website. We're going out live on Facebook.
Wow.
And then what will happen is after the show's done, I'll convert all the audio into an RSS feed, and it will go everywhere. It'll go out to Apple. It'll go out to Google, you name it.
So to get the links to share them on my social media, what's the easiest way?
I can email you directly after the show. As soon as I get
great.
Set up. Okay, cool.
Thank you so much for everything. You're amazing.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Work. All right. You have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. That was fun. I learned a lot. I'm going to read Jennifer's comment here. I'm going to lean over since I'm blind. Blind is bad. Let's see. Okay, cool. All right. I got you. Anyway, last announcements. I loved having her on. That was great. I learned a lot. It's great. It's great when you get people on that you learn from. We're our ghost tour. My gosh, March 26th. People are starting to book. It's kind of fun. We're either going to be at we're going to be at a haunted hotel in the ghost country, or we're going to be at a very dang, my headphones. We're going to be at an active cemetery. I'm going to take you in myself. You're going to get to meet me, get to ghost hunt with me, get to ghost hunt with my team, get to learn what it's like to really go out and ghost hunt. Now, when we do an inside investigation, it's a little different than doing an outside investigation, but it all works the same, but just different techniques. So if you want to participate in that, check our Meetup site out over at Meetup, or I actually finally have it up on the radio website. So go on over to CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com and check out the, go to the top menu, go to the last thing up there. I think it says that special extras. Go down to where it says special events, and boom, it's right there. Okay. And for those of you that maybe have spouses that want to go along on this ghost hunt, that's where you can buy multiple tickets. It'll be a lot cheaper for you because every time you go through PayPal, you got to pay a little bit of a fee. So if you have to do it twice on Meetup, then it's going to cost you. But if you go over, on the website, you only get charged once from PayPal. Okay. Anyway, tomorrow night we're shifting gears a little bit. Remember when we had Mike Patterson on? Mike Patterson with the really cool Bigfoot voices. Tomorrow night we're going to have Ron Moorhead here. Ron Moorhead is the man who first brought forth the Bigfoot voices from the Sierra Sounds, and he had, I don't know if he's still up there anymore, but he's got a secret place up in Sonora where he goes up, or near Sonora, where he goes up and he talks to Bigfoot, and Bigfoot talks back, and he's got recordings. So we're going to talk with Ron Moorhead tomorrow. It's a special Friday show because usually he only goes on a Friday. So we're going to be here tomorrow at 6:30 Pacific, just like we just normal time. But it's going to be an interesting show. So if you want to hear, and what's interesting is the voices, unless there's different voices now, but the voices he gets are different from the voices that Mike Patterson gets. So that's what makes it so interesting. Totally different dialect. So join me tomorrow because I'm going to have about 4 or 5 samples of Bigfoot, of what Ron Moorhead says is Bigfoot talking. Okay. All right. So again, the Saturday the 26th is going to be the ghost tour. It's not, like I said, you're not going through with a psychic. You're going through with ghost hunters. It's not like the psychic's going to walk you by graves or anything like that, or haunted rooms and go, oh, there's so and so in here. Let's move on. Blah blah blah. That's not what it is. It's grabbing our equipment alongside our investigators and actually doing a 3 to 4 hour investigation with us. And then if you're able to get any evidence, we're going to go ahead and put it up on our website and give you credit for it. Okay, so it's a full blown investigation. All right, our investigators are there to show you how to do a paranormal investigation. So it's gonna be a fun night. Okay, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We're equal opportunity here at California Haunts Radio, and the more people we have, watching this thing, the better. The more people we have subscribing, better. Remember, I told you if you're watching on YouTube, there is a little ghost down in the bottom corner, and it's got a little magnifying glass, and it's got a Sherlock Holmes hat on. Click on that. That's our mascot. Join. That way you'll get updates in our videos. We're putting out a lot of stuff. In fact, I'm going to start doing reviews on paranormal equipment, so you guys can check that out too. That's going to start next week. I'm going to start doing reviews on stuff, and I think my first one is going to be on REM Pod. Okay, so we're going to start doing reviews on equipment. As you can see, there's a ticker at the bottom. We are nonprofit. We go out and help people, and it's a lot of pocket. That's, like I said, that's what we want to do. We want to help people and educate them about the paranormal. We go out to houses, and they may not have anything paranormal going on. That's our job to find that out, right? That's what we do. But it's all nonprofit. So in order to keep this show on the air and keep our equipment going, for the show and even our paranormal investigations, it comes out of my pocket. So if you would find it in your heart to donate a little bit to us at paypal.me/California Haunts, that would be great. Or if you're uncomfortable with PayPal, that's Venmo. That's Venmo, and then type in California Haunts. Okay, because we really want to keep these shows coming to you. I enjoy doing them. I'm a journalist by trade. This is what I love to do. All right. Cool. So before we sign off here, I'm going to give you Crystal's information again and where you can get her book. And then we're going to sign off. And then I'm going to see you tomorrow. Okay. And we're going to have a great show with Ron Moorhead. So here we go. Who's got the button? Okay. So we got a website, crystalpomeroy.com. Check out our YouTube channel, or like she says, find her on Facebook or Instagram even. Book is Angels and Goddesses. And again, that's available at Amazon.com. And she's also got it on, I've been on her website, so she shows it on her website too. Okay, guys, I'm going to see you tomorrow because I got to get in the files and pull up the Sasquatch voices so I can get them all ready to play for you tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow, and have a good evening.